After work, I was bored and scrolling through social media when I accidentally came across a post. The poster asked, "I went for my prenatal checkup today and found out there's something wrong with the baby. I have to get an abortion. But my mother-in-law and husband really care about this child. How can I frame someone else for it?" Looking at this dark thought, I assumed it was probably just another engagement farming post. Trying to go viral, these posts nowadays have no bottom line. They'll make up any story for traffic. But out of curiosity, I still clicked in. The post had only been up for a few hours, and the poster's IP address was from the same area as mine. There weren't many comments yet, and most of them were condemning the poster for having no morals. Just to gain followers, I scrolled down, and at the very bottom, there was actually a comment genuinely trying to help the poster. You can find an opportunity to have your family member, colleague or friend touch your belly, then later pretend to have stomach pain after the miscarriage. You can blame that person and even get a hefty compensation. Seeing this comment seriously giving advice to the poster completely shattered my worldview. I noticed there was an author's like mark below it, which made it even more unbelievable. After scrolling through that post, I fell into a drowsy sleep since I had an early meeting the next day. The next day at the office, I immediately got busy with work and completely forgot about yesterday's post. During lunch break, everyone gathered together to chat. I was just about to share that morally corrupt post from yesterday when my colleague Madison Carter spoke first. She was already almost 4 months pregnant, rubbing her belly while saying, "My belly is getting more and more obvious. Can feel the baby moving these past few days. I think this child is very active." Colleagues all offered their congratulations. "Madison, looking at your pregnancy glow. Based on my experience, probably a big baby boy. Active is good, it means the baby is healthy and strong." "Exactly, Madison. You're definitely going to have an adorable child." She rubbed her belly and said, "Boy or girl, doesn't matter. I spent the past few years focusing on my career and only started thinking about having a baby these 2 years. My in-laws really care about this. They practically want to keep me locked at home taking care of me. But I can't let go of things at the company. So I'll finish this month before taking leave." "Madison, you're so dedicated. Health should come first, though. Yeah, everyone else is eager to rest. But you're eager to come to work." I watched her happily rubbing her belly, while everyone sincerely blessed her. And I swallowed the words about that post I was about to share. After all, she was pregnant too. The clock in the break room chimed several times. Time was about to start. Everyone brushed the cookie crumbs off themselves and picked up their coffee, preparing to return to their desks. Addison suddenly grabbed me and quietly pulled me aside. "Ella, my belly is getting bigger and bigger. I'll probably have to take leave soon. When I leave, this project needs a leader to take over. I think it'll be you, you're the one I'm most optimistic about. I felt a connection with you the moment I saw you." She smiled as she congratulated me. "You're the most capable among this batch of young people. I struggled for years to become team leader. Unlike you, the director has praised you at meetings so many times. Just months after you joined." She threw compliment after compliment at me. I could only laugh dryly and offer some polite small talk. "Madison, I still have a lot to learn from you. After all, you have more experience. Look, get you now. You have a child on the way. Career and family, both successful." Just as I finished speaking and was about to leave, she grabbed me again. "Dear, why are you being so formal with me? I stopped you because I want you to share my good fortune." I was a bit confused. "Good for? Look at my pregnant belly. Round and full. Even the elders at home say this belly is full of blessings. There's an old saying that this is called a blessing belly. Whoever touches it will have good luck today. I specifically pulled you aside because I want you to share my blessings. Touch it and your promotion to team leader is guaranteed." She stuck out her belly full of expectation. The moment I heard those words, alarm bells went off in my head. I immediately thought of the post I saw last night. A pregnant woman wanting to miscarry deliberately lets others touch her belly to frame them I froze for a second watching as her eyes lit up staring at my hand. It was truly bizarre, better safe than sorry. Although it's wrong to be overly suspicious of others. I still waved my hand, Madison. Thanks for your kindness. But my hands are touching keyboards and equipment all day. I'm afraid my hands have bacteria and aren't clean. It wouldn't be good for the baby. You're pregnant and should be careful. Her smile immediately froze on her face. And her eyes dimmed considerably. I keenly caught the change in her expression. Soon she put on a forced show of generosity. What's there to be afraid of? Just touch over my clothes. Nothing will happen, plus. With a layer of belly in between. What could possibly happen to the baby? If I hadn't seen that post, I definitely wouldn't have thought twice. And would have naively thanked her. But thinking about that post, I felt her behavior was becoming increasingly abnormal. Forget it, Madison. Thanks for your kindness, but let's wait until after you give birth. I'll definitely share the good fortune at the baby shower. The supervisor is coming soon. Let's get back to our desks. I hurriedly excused myself and escaped back to my cubicle. Before she could say another word. After returning to my desk, I secretly glanced at Madison several times. After I rejected her, her face turned somewhat pale. When people around her discussed work matters, she seemed absent-minded, completely unlike her usual self. But I also had some doubts. Usually she was very enthusiastic and always smiling. At work, she didn't seem like someone with such dark thoughts. All afternoon, I watched her maintain a cold expression, occasionally touching her belly, as if something was weighing on her mind. After work and back home, I still had some doubts about the whole thing. Was I being too sensitive? At work, she and I never had any conflicts or disputes. I'd always respected her as a senior. She really had no reason to harm me like this. With questions in mind, I opened that post again and carefully examined the details. A day had passed and the post had gained quite a bit of traffic. But most people were condemning the poster in the comments. How can you live the rest of your life after gaining followers this way? If I see another post like this, let me win the lottery. Almost no one believed this was a genuine question. Probably afraid of acquaintances seeing it. This was a newly created account. The author had no profile description. And the avatar was a generic one many people used. Aside from her IP address being from the same area as mine, I couldn't see any more details. I scrolled through the unanimous condemnation in the comments below, and suddenly remembered the comment from yesterday. That suggested letting others touch her belly. Because it was so malicious. Few people had liked it. And that comment had already sunk to the bottom. I casually refreshed, only to discover that the poster had actually replied to that comment. Just a few minutes ago, hello. May I ask if there are any other methods besides letting someone touch my belly? The belly touching was rejected. So it's not very feasible. The moment I saw those words, my eyes widened in disbelief. I refreshed several times to confirm this comment really existed. How could there be such a coincidence? Madison just happened to ask me to touch her belly today. And I just happened to reject her. At that moment, I felt my head go numb. Even my breathing stopped for a few beats. After a long while, no one replied to that poster. But I felt it was getting more and more terrifying. If it really was Madison, then since she didn't succeed today, she definitely wouldn't let it go in the future. Looking at her determination today, she wouldn't give up until she found a scapegoat. To take the fall for her, I thought it over several times, trying to figure out what grudge Madison and I had that would make her want to harm me like this. Or was she just looking to frame a random person? And I just happened to be the one she picked today. So if I didn't take the bait, would she shift her target to harm other colleagues? My speculation was soon verified. Madison's target had always been only me. The next morning, I had just woken up when I opened that post again. That person had replied to the poster. If touching the belly didn't work, then have that person bring you a meal or a drink after eating. Say your stomach hurts. Insist that there was something wrong with what she brought you. That caused the miscarriage. Even if a real lawyer gets involved, She'll bear some responsibility one way or another. I was staring at this comment in shock. There really are such vicious people in the world. The next second, my phone notification sounded. It was a message from Madison Ella. I got up a bit late today. Could you please bring me breakfast? I'll transfer you the money. After all, I'm in a special period and can't go hungry. It's not good for the baby. Seeing I didn't reply immediately, she sent a few more emojis urging me. I looked at the reply under the posts. Still not having recovered, this basically proved that the poster was Madison. And she was clearly targeting me. I opened the message again. Madison had even tagged me in our small group chat. Ella, I'd like to ask you to bring me breakfast on your way to work. The other colleagues either take the subway or squeeze onto buses. Only you drive, so it's more convenient. She added a creepy, smiling emoji at the end that sent chills down my spine. I could only pretend I didn't see it. And didn't reply with a single word. My phone buzzed several more times. Probably messages from her. I didn't even look at them. This Madison had clearly dug a pit and was waiting for me to jump in. I originally thought we had no conflicts. And were just colleagues with a peaceful relationship. Now it seems I was too naive. Some people's hatred has no reason. I figured out why Madison chose me first. Because I actually had the financial means. Almost everyone else in our department had just graduated from college, renting apartments with hardly any money. Only I, relying on my parents' financial support, had already bought a house and a car. So Madison chose me as the scapegoat because after framing me, she would get a hefty sum no matter what. There was another reason, recalling her pretentious behavior yesterday. I finally understood. She said that when she takes maternity leave, I would probably be promoted to team leader by management. She was afraid of losing her current team leader position. It was earned through seniority. But ever since I joined the company, the boss had praised my proposals at meetings more than once. And had started, intentionally or unintentionally, assigning some projects to me. Madison was so calculating, wanting to pin her child's life on me. Not only could she avoid being blamed by her husband and in-laws, but she could also eliminate an obstacle in her career path. What a perfect plan to kill two birds with one stone. Truly flawless. As soon as I arrived at the company, Madison was wailing at her desk, clutching her belly. When she saw me, her eyes lit up as if she'd spotted prey. Ella, sweetheart. You're finally here. I'm so sorry to trouble you. I stayed up late last night revising the proposal and overslept. This morning, I didn't have time to eat breakfast. Being pregnant and not eating breakfast makes my stomach feel like it's burning. I can only play dumb. I'm really sorry, Madison. I had my phone on Do Not Disturb mode after rest time last night. And didn't see your messages. I pretended as if I had just opened my phone. Hearing me say this, her face suddenly changed and darkened. As if she was choking on anger stuck in her throat. Looking at her expression, I confirmed the fact that she was the poster. She deliberately clutched her belly and curled up at her desk. Oh my. It's okay, Ella. I understand, but I'm really starving right now. It's inconvenient for me to move around. Let me transfer you the money first. Could you please make a quick trip downstairs? To buy me something to eat? She pretended to look weak, while people around her came over with concern. What's wrong, Madison? Are you feeling unwell? Madison, you're in a special situation right now. You need to protect the baby in your belly. Your health comes first, everything else is secondary. It's nothing. I just didn't have time to eat breakfast this morning. I'm a bit dizzy. I was just asking Ella to make a quick trip downstairs. To buy me something to eat. She smoothly stated her request in front of everyone. If I played dumb again, I would really seem heartless. Okay, Madison. Drink some water first. I'll put my things down and go buy something for you right away. Hearing me say this, a smile finally appeared at the corner of her mouth. Thank you so much, Ella. I deliberately took my time putting down my bag, while sneaking glances at the clock on the wall. At 8 o'clock sharp, the supervisor would come up from downstairs for inspection. I timed it perfectly. The moment the supervisor came up, I was already jogging, preparing to go downstairs. Pretending I couldn't dodge in time. I deliberately bumped right into her. She staggered from my collision and nearly fell to the ground. I looked up to meet the supervisor's face and hurriedly apologized. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Miss Thompson, I was in such a hurry. I didn't see you coming up. The supervisor usually had a bad temper. But seeing me, she suppressed her anger. What are you in such a rush for so early in the morning? I looked up to meet the supervisor's face and hurriedly apologized. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, Miss Thompson, I was in such a hurry, I didn't see you coming up. Miss Thompson, a woman known for her razor-sharp bob and a temper that could curdle milk, usually didn't tolerate clumsiness. She smoothed the front of her tailored blazer, her eyes narrowing behind her thin-rimmed glasses, but before she could snap at me, I immediately adopted a look of absolute, breathless panic. It's Madison, I gasped, pointing back toward the open-plan office. She's having some sort of medical emergency. She's doubled over at her desk, saying she's dizzy and in severe pain. I was rushing downstairs to get her food because she thought it might be her blood sugar, but she looks awful, Miss Thompson, she's pregnant, you know, I didn't know if I should call an ambulance. Miss Thompson's irritation instantly evaporated, replaced by the cold, calculating crisis management mode of a corporate veteran. A pregnant employee collapsing on company time was a massive liability. Food? No, absolutely not. If she's experiencing severe pain and dizziness, feeding her could be a choking hazard if she faints. We are not doctors, Miss Thompson said sharply. Go back to your desk, Ella, I will handle this. I nodded obediently, masking the relief that washed over me. I followed Miss Thompson back into the office at a brisk, anxious pace. Madison was still resting her head on her desk, letting out pitiful little groans while our co-workers hovered around her like helpless pigeons. When she heard the sharp clack-clack of Miss Thompson's heels, she peeked out from beneath her arms, her eyes darting past the supervisor to find me. Madison, Miss Thompson's voice sliced through the murmurs of the room. Ella tells me you are experiencing severe abdominal pain and dizziness. Madison's face froze, the pale, sickly act faltered for a fraction of a second, a flash of pure venom shooting toward me before she composed herself. Oh no, Miss Thompson, it's just I just haven't eaten. I asked Ella to just run down. Company policy, Miss Thompson interrupted, pulling out her phone. We don't take risks with expectant mothers. I am calling HR and the building's on-site medic. We need to get your vitals checked immediately. If necessary, we'll dispatch an ambulance. No. Madison sat up so fast her chair squeaked, completely forgetting her dizzy persona. No ambulance. Please, I'm fine, I just need a sandwich. You were just wailing in pain, Miss Thompson noted, her brow arching in suspicion. If something is wrong with the baby, the company cannot be held liable because we gave you a turkey club instead of medical attention. Paramedics are on their way. I watched from my cubicle, sipping the lukewarm coffee I had abandoned earlier. The show was spectacular. The medics arrived within 10 minutes. Madison was forced to sit through a rigorous blood pressure check, blood sugar pricks, and a litany of embarrassing medical questions in front of the entire floor. Because her vitals were perfectly normal, she had to endure a stern lecture from the medic about managing her diet, while Miss Thompson hovered, visibly annoyed at having her morning derailed by what appeared to be a dramatic bid for attention. When it was over, Madison slinked back to her desk, her face flushed dark red with humiliation. She didn't look at me for the rest of the day. But I wasn't naive enough to think it was over. I had simply parried her second strike. That night, I locked the door to my apartment, double-checked the deadbolt, and collapsed onto my sofa. I opened the anonymous forum. The post was there, gaining a trickle of morbid momentum. I scrolled straight to the bottom, holding my breath. Sure enough, just an hour ago, the poster had replied to her dark mentor. Poster, the food idea didn't work. She made a huge scene and got management involved. I ended up looking like a fool. I'm running out of time. I'm almost 16 weeks. I need this done by the end of the month before my mother-in-law forces me to move in with her for pregnancy care. Give me something foolproof. I felt a cold sweat break out across my neck. She was getting desperate. Desperation breeds recklessness. I hit refresh. 10 minutes later, the anonymous advisor replied. Advisor, if she's dodging you, you can't rely on her cooperation. You have to force the interaction, a physical collision, wait until she's carrying something heavy, or better yet, corner her in a place with hard surfaces and no cameras. Stairwells are classics, bathrooms with wet floors. You don't need her to push you, you just need her to be the only one in the room when you fall. Make sure you get the abortion pills first. Take them, wait for the cramping to start, and then initiate the accident. The hospital will just think the trauma caused the miscarriage. I stared at the glowing screen, nausea rolling through my stomach. Take the pills, wait for the cramping, then initiate the accident. It was so clinical, so evil. Madison was planning to use me as her personal concrete floor. I needed to know why. What was driving a seemingly successful, married woman to such horrific lengths? The next few days at the office became a terrifying game of cat and mouse. I refused to go anywhere alone. If I went to the bathroom, I waited until a group of girls from marketing went in. If I needed to print something, I asked an intern to fetch it. Claiming I had a twisted ankle, I bought my own lunch from home, never leaving my coffee mug unattended. I even installed a discreet mirror on the corner of my monitor so I could see behind me. Madison's demeanor was deteriorating rapidly. The pregnancy glow everyone had praised was gone, replaced by deep, purple bags under her eyes and a sallow complexion. She made careless mistakes on her spreadsheets. She snapped at the interns. Whenever I caught her looking at me, her eyes were hollow, feral. On Thursday, the break came. I had stayed a few minutes past 6 p.m. to finish a quarterly projection. The office was mostly empty, the overhead fluorescent lights humming a low, grating tune. I was packing my bag when I heard a muffled voice coming from the emergency stairwell adjacent to our department. Normally, I would have just left, but the voice was pitched in a frantic, tearful whisper. It was Madison. I crept toward the heavy fire door, pressing my ear against the cold metal. "I don't care what the clinic said, you have to get me the pills." Madison was hissing into her phone. "No, I can't just go to a normal doctor and do it." "Are you insane?" Mark checks our joint account every day. His mother has access to my medical portal because she's a retired nurse and insisted on monitoring her grandson. If they see a clinical abortion on my record, they will destroy me. A pause, then, a sob ripped from her throat. "I saw the amnio results, okay? The baby has anencephaly, it's not going to survive anyway, but Mark's family, they're zealots. They said it's a test from God and that I have to carry it to term, to let nature take its course. I can't do it. I can't walk around for another 5 months with a dead thing inside me just to please them. I need it to look like an accident. I have the scapegoat lined up. Just overnight the misoprostol to my sister's house." I pulled away from the door, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. The pieces fell into a horrifying, tragic puzzle. The baby was fatally ill. Her religious fanatic of a husband and mother-in-law were forcing her to carry a doomed pregnancy to term. In a twisted way, I understood her terror, but her solution, destroying my career, my finances, and my reputation to save herself, was unforgivable. Empathy did not mean I had to be her human sacrifice. She had ordered the pills. The clock was officially ticking. I had the weekend to prepare. I didn't go to HR, without hard proof. It was my word against a pregnant woman's, and HR protects the company, not the employee. If I brought them a wild story about a Reddit thread and an overheard phone call, I'd be the one sent to a psychiatrist, or quietly let go for creating a hostile work environment. No, to survive a snake, you have to let it strike the glass. Saturday morning, I went to an electronics store 2 towns over. I bought an audio recorder no bigger than a flash drive, and a high-definition button camera. I spent Sunday practicing. I pinned the camera into the fabric of my favorite black cardigan, hiding the lens within the dark weave. It linked directly to a cloud server via my phone. Whatever happened, the footage would be immediately uploaded, out of her reach. Monday morning, the atmosphere in the office was thick. Madison arrived wearing a loose, flowing maternity dress. She looked pale, her skin slick with a sheen of cold sweat. She kept clutching her stomach, her breathing shallow. She took them, I realized, a chill washing over my arms. She took the pills this morning. The cramping has started. Today was the day. At 11 a.m., our department was practically empty. Most of the team had gone to a mandatory cybersecurity seminar in Conference Room B. I had requested to stay behind to finish the projections. Madison had claimed she wasn't feeling well enough to sit in a hard chair for 2 hours. It was just the two of us, separated by a sea of empty cubicles. I clicked the button on my cardigan. A tiny vibration against my chest confirmed it was recording. I slipped the audio recorder into my pocket and turned it on. I stood up, holding a stack of files. "I'm going to run these down to the basement archives," I announced to the empty room, making sure my voice carried over to her desk. I didn't wait for a response. I walked out the main double doors, turning right toward the elevators, but I didn't press the button. Instead, I opened the heavy door to the west stairwell, the old one, the one without cameras, exactly as the anonymous advisor had suggested. I walked down one flight, stopping on the landing between the 4th and 3rd floors. I set my files down on the windowsill, and I waited. 2 minutes later, the heavy door on the 4th floor groaned open. "Ella?" Madison's voice echoed down the concrete shaft. It sounded strained, tight with pain. "Down here, Madison," I called back, my voice remarkably steady. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, she appeared at the top of the stairs, looking down at me. In the harsh fluorescent light of the stairwell, she looked demonic. Her eyes were bloodshot, her hair plastered to her forehead. She gripped the handrail so hard her knuckles were white. "What are you doing down here?" she asked, taking a step down. "Dropped a file," I lied, not moving from the landing. "Are you okay? You look like you're in a lot of pain." "I am," she whispered. She took another step, then another. She was halfway down the flight now, standing about 6 steps above me. "My stomach is killing me, the baby." "You should go to the hospital, Madison. Let me call your husband," I said, pulling my phone from my pocket, ensuring the camera on my chest had a perfect, unobstructed view of her. No, she shrieked, the facade slipping completely. Don't you dare call Mark. She descended the rest of the steps rapidly, closing the distance until she was standing on the landing with me. The space was tight. To my right was the plate glass window. To my left, the steep concrete stairs leading down to the third floor. Ella, she said, her voice dropping to a ragged whisper, I need you to do something for me. I need you to understand. Understand what? I took a deliberate step backward, putting myself flush against the wall, as far away from the edge of the stairs as possible. She lunged forward, grabbing my wrists with a grip like iron. Her hands were freezing. I'm sorry, I really am, but you have money, your parents are rich, you'll just get a lawyer, you'll pay a settlement, you'll bounce back, I will lose everything, my life will be over. Madison, let go of me, I said, raising my voice, ensuring the audio was crystal clear. You are hurting me, let go. I took the pills, she sobbed, tears streaming down her face, her nails digging into my skin. Blood was trickling down my forearm where she scratched me. It hurt so much. It's coming. I just need them to think it was a fall. I just need you to be the one who pushed me. With a sudden, violent twist, she tried to yank my arms forward, attempting to pull me into her so she could throw herself backward down the stairs. But I had rehearsed this in my mind 100 times. Instead of pulling back, which would have given her the leverage she needed, I went completely limp and dropped to my knees, wrenching my wrists downward. The sudden loss of resistance threw her entirely off balance. Madison staggered backward, her arms flailing in the empty air. She missed the edge of the stairs entirely, crashing hard against the heavy metal fire door of the third-floor landing instead. She slid to the ground, panting, clutching her stomach as a dark, wet stain began to spread rapidly across the fabric of her maternity dress. She looked at me, her eyes wide with panic. The fall wasn't dramatic enough. She hadn't tumbled down the concrete steps. She had just bumped into a door. No, she gasped. No, 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 that's not right. Push me. Get up and push me, you bitch. You're insane, I said, standing up smoothly. I brushed off my knees. I'm not touching you. Realizing her plan had failed, a guttural, animalistic scream ripped from her throat. It was deafening, echoing up and down the concrete shaft. She began to violently tear at her own clothes, ripping the collar of her dress, scratching her own face and arms until they bled. Help, she shrieked at the top of her lungs, rolling on the floor in the pooling blood. Help me. Oh my God, she pushed me. Ella pushed me. The stairwell doors above and below us burst open simultaneously. Miss Thompson, along with 3 guys from accounting, spilled onto the landing. They froze, taking in the horrific scene. Madison, bleeding heavily, bruised and crying on the floor, and me, standing a good 6 feet away, looking calm but pale. Oh my God, Madison. Miss Thompson yelled, rushing to her side. Call 911. Now. Madison grabbed Miss Thompson's blazer, sobbing hysterically. She pushed me. We were arguing about the team leader position. She got mad. She shoved me down the stairs. My baby. She killed my baby. The guys from accounting looked at me with absolute horror. One of them immediately stepped between me and the door, as if expecting me to make a run for it. I didn't move. I looked down at Madison, who was sobbing into Miss Thompson's shoulder, throwing me a secret, triumphant glare through her tears. In her mind, she had won. There were no cameras. She had the blood. She had the motive. Don't let her leave, Madison wailed. Call the police. I've already called them, I said quietly. Everyone stopped, even Madison's fake sobs hitched in her throat. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and ended the call with the 911 dispatcher I had quietly dialed the moment she had grabbed my wrists. I asked for an ambulance and police. They should be here in 5 minutes. Miss Thompson glared at me. Ella, what the hell is going on here? Did you touch her? No, I said, my voice echoing clearly in the quiet stairwell. I didn't touch her, but we don't need to debate it. We can just watch the video. Madison's head snapped up. What video? There are no cameras in this stairwell. I tapped the black button on my cardigan. No, but there is one right here. It records video and audio, and it's already backed up to my cloud drive. The color drained from Madison's face so fast I thought she might actually pass out. The silence in the stairwell was absolute, broken only by the distant, approaching wail of sirens. I have everything, Madison, I said, my voice dripping with cold finality. I have the recording of you admitting you bought abortion pills. I have you admitting your baby was sick. I have you grabbing my arms, scratching me, and begging me to take the fall for you so your husband wouldn't find out. You're lying, she whispered, her lips trembling. I pulled out my phone, opened the cloud app, and turned the volume all the way up. I took the pills. It hurts so much. It's coming. I just need them to think it was a fall. I just need you to be the one who pushed me. Madison's own voice, distorted but unmistakable, bounced off the concrete walls. The guys from accounting backed away from her as if she were radioactive. Miss Thompson slowly stood up, brushing her hands off her blazer, her face a mask of utter disgust. You planned this, Miss Thompson said, her voice shaking with rage. You endangered the company, you set up a coworker, and you faked an attack? Madison opened her mouth, but only a pathetic, gurgling sob came out. The pain of the misoprostol was fully setting in now, her body violently expelling the pregnancy she had so desperately tried to leverage against me. She curled into a fetal position on the cold floor, weeping not for the child, but for herself. When the police and paramedics arrived, the scene was handled with swift, clinical efficiency. Madison was loaded onto a stretcher, still sobbing, refusing to make eye contact with anyone. The police took my statement, watched the video on my phone, and immediately categorized me as a victim of attempted extortion and assault. The aftermath was a hurricane, but I was in the eye of it, completely untouched. Madison's husband arrived at the hospital an hour later. According to office gossip, the police played him the audio recording when he tried to demand my arrest. He filed for divorce the very next day, moving all her belongings out of their house and dropping them at her sister's doorstep. The company, terrified of a lawsuit from my end, fired Madison instantly for gross misconduct. They didn't even wait for her to be discharged from the hospital. Miss Thompson personally called me into her office, offering me a month of paid leave for emotional distress, and formally handed me the promotion to team leader. "You handled yourself with remarkable composure, Ella," Miss Thompson had said, pouring me a glass of expensive scotch she kept in her bottom drawer. "Most people would have broken under that kind of manipulation." "I just pay attention to the details," I replied softly, taking the glass. 3 weeks later, I was sitting in my new glass-walled office, watching the city lights flicker to life against the twilight sky. The team was packing up to leave, the cheerful hum of office chatter drifting through my door. I opened my laptop and, out of a dark, lingering curiosity, typed in the URL of the anonymous forum. Madison's account was long deleted, the post was gone, wiped clean by the moderators. But as I scrolled through the main feed, a new post caught my eye. "My wife just got promoted and makes twice my salary. She's been extremely arrogant lately. How can I stage a domestic incident so I get the house and full custody in the divorce?" I stared at the screen, my reflection ghostly in the monitor. The world was full of monsters, hiding behind generic avatars, plotting in the dark. I scrolled to the bottom of the post. "Advisor, wait until she's had a few glasses of wine, antagonize her until she yells, record only her reaction, not your provocation, better yet, bruise your own arm and tell the police she threw a glass at you." It was the same tone, the same clinical, sociopathic precision. The advisor hadn't gone away, they were still out there, whispering poison into the ears of the desperate and the wicked. I closed the laptop, the satisfying click echoing in my quiet office. Let the monsters have their forums. Out here in the real world, I was ready for them.